I lead. I know how to get things done. I don't ask people to support me. I write the plan and I execute the plan and I do it from point A to point B. Joining
Yeah.
with a man who wants a soft, feminine woman, I think I had to learn how to communicate to him why I wasn't soft.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Besties. Welcome back to another episode of Open Therapy. New here, who this? Yeah, I got my braids done. We are filming a nighttime intro to this episode. This is Thursday night because I insist that I'm putting this video up on Thursday because it's a commitment I made to you guys. And we've already talked about how I feel about the commitments. And, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So instead of morning, ooh, nice sunshine, get ready with me. This is at nighttime after a long work day. Alright, changed into my night clothes. Hope you're not seeing what you're supposed to be seeing. Yeah. Okay, so another thing, I can show you my nighttime routine now. So I've been using, I really like vitamin C from, you saw the makeup wipes of vitamin C. This is a vitamin C serum as well, which feels really good on the face. So I'll just put like a little there, a little there. Right, so yeah, I guess I really need to reconcile my feelings with the concept of marriage and stop separating it from my desire for life partnership, you know. Just because society has created this false sense of validation for women with marriage doesn't mean that that's real or that's true or, you know, or truth. So yeah, I need to do my work to kind of put those back together, you know. I need to first look at my desire for marriage, if that's just what I've seen, if that's just what I know, and also look at my cringeness with it, with this whole validation thing and resistance. Really kind of observe that and observe the societal influence into that viewpoint and try and marry, pun intended, the concept of life partnership with this institution of marriage again in my head. Yeah. Men and women, this whole marriage society pressure thing is different for men and women, I've found. So whereas women are called, I'm a 39, about to be 39 tomorrow, year old spinster. Men live up until whenever, and they're just considered a bachelor. The whole the whole view of a bachelor versus a spinster is just so different. Spinsters are unattractive, they're still up on the shelf, just a rotten off. Nobody don't want them. They just did it just a shrivel. A bachelor is just getting more attractive with age, and he's prestigious and rich and living life on his own terms. I mean, there are all these like just things that are associated with both. It's just crazy how we have different experiences as men and women sometimes with the same concepts. Yeah. Right. Coming up in this video is a conversation with just a dope human being. I only bring dope human beings to this channel. Her name is Kerice. She is currently in school to be a therapist. And it's just I've known her forever. I've known her since we were kids. We went to the same prep school together. We connected in adulthood. And we have a special connection related to her marriage because I was at her wedding reading, performing spoken word or poetry as she came down the aisle to her husband to a poem that I wrote for them as a couple. So yeah, so it's a marriage that I've looked up to even from a distance. They seemed really happy and really in love, and yeah, I just thought she would be an interesting person to talk about this with. I'd love to find out what she's learned in the past. I think, well, coming up, I realized that it had been 12 years. So in the past 12 years, I'd love to find out all the lessons she's learned about marriage, all the lessons she's learned about herself, about her husband, and maybe in sharing her lessons, she can help someone who's in a marriage right now going through a rough patch, who just needs to hear that you can come out on the other side better always. So please stick around. This one was fun, it was transparent, it was vulnerable, it's everything that I love. Yeah, let's get into it. Hi, Kerice.
Hi.
So I've been looking forward to this conversation. We've known each other for a really long time. I think we grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
Just so those who are watching can understand the history, we went to prep school together.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, I mean, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, that kind of ages. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then we went to different high schools, but I think we're a year ahead of me or 2 years ahead.
I can't remember the number, but we're always in each other's circles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we reconnected in adulthood because we went to separate high schools
Mm-hmm.
and reconnected a little in adulthood. I actually did poetry for her coming down the aisle to her husband.
Yeah. I was
We're going to
wondering
talk about
if
that.
you were gonna forget that part.
No, no, can't forget it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the most memorable part for sure. And I know your husband as well because we all grew up in the same hometown. I don't know him well, but I know of
Mm-hmm.
him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been looking forward to this conversation, and let's get started. So I really just want to talk about marriage, the whole concept.
Yeah.
You've been married for how long now?
12
Remind me?
years.
12.
Yeah.
Awesome. And together how long?
That's debatable. He has a different number than me. But
Times.
yeah, I'm 14 now, and I think we started dating when I was around 23. Yeah,
Okay.
been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Sure, that's a lifetime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels like it. I feel like he watched me grow up. And I don't know why I don't think of him that way. I don't know why to me he's always been grown up, but I feel like he watched me grow up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's interesting. That you've just been grown.
Yeah, he's just been grown and I was growing up.
All right. So I wanted to start out with the concept of marriage as a milestone. As someone who is 38 years old, not married, I kind of feel a lot of pressure and a lot of lean heads when people look at me. It's almost like you're not there. Why? Why not married? There's a lot of um yeah, pressure to get to that point. So it feels like a milestone, definitely in a woman's life. I'm guessing for both women and men. That I should have reached a long time ago in my 20s, haven't reached it. So, I wanted to speak to you on how you feel about it being a milestone, you
Right.
know?
Well, whenever you bring the word should, I don't
Mm,
I don't like when we should on ourselves, and should for me feels like an external measure. And anytime you
right.
go into should is, oh, people expect exactly what you're saying. People expect should be married, should have had kids, should have gone to university, should have made different
Yeah.
choices. And When I think of marriage, yes, it's a milestone because I think any major event is a milestone. That's how
Mm-hmm.
so birth, breakup, marriage, going to college. And I think in our society, it feels like an achievement. And I would say at the stage I am at right now, knowing myself was the achievement compared to marriage or like marriage being a goal
Yeah.
because it feels like there needs to be certain steps at certain ages and it doesn't always pan out that way. And I would much rather, if I could talk to my 28-year-old self, which is the age I got married, I would say to her, get to know Kerice, get to know Kerice
Mm-hmm.
so that you know what you like and you can teach him what you like. And I thought I knew what I liked. And at that age, I actually was unsure looking back.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So take me through why you got married
Mm, mm,
in the first place at 28. I don't know if you can go back to that space. Why you think you wanted to get married, or why did you get married? And
mm,
how you felt once you did, if there was a difference, because you guys had been together for so long.
right,
So I'd love to know the transition and the different feelings once you did get married and why you wanted to. And how
right.
do you feel if you didn't, if you weren't married 6 months from now, how do you think you would feel? Yeah.
Mm, why did you get married? Woo. I think external influence, society, it seemed like the next thing. I finished school. We were dating for a while. We didn't have kids. And I learned that having kids before marriage wasn't the thing to do. There were many shoulds. And I think that is a
Mhm.
part of why. Like the core reason why is because I love him and there were external influences like, so I'm gonna go and do something or
Right. To be
uh,
expected. Yeah.
yeah, it was expected now that I think about it. But at the time, I got married because he was the only person I was sharing my true stories with. And he didn't think I was disposable after I told him the things that I would hide from everybody else. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
there's something here that I don't want to lose. And I actually pursued him.
Mm, I
Yeah, so
like it.
I was like, okay, you treat your mom well. I like the way you talk to me. You're tall, dark, handsome. He was ticking,
That helps.
he was ticking lots of boxes. And
Yeah.
one of the things that attracted me a bit more was that he said no. He was like, actually don't want monogamy right
Mm,
now in my life. And he was at a stage where he was trying to get to know himself. And I was a bit floored by that rejection. And at the same
what felt like
time,
rejection. Yeah. Mm.
to me, I was like, what?
So you mean,
Yeah, talk about. And, but at the time when we really spoke about it, I thought, okay, the previous men that I was dating, they weren't monogamous, but they made me think I was the only one, right?
yeah.
So the
So this is
fact
different
that,
now.
yeah, so the fact that he was upfront and was like, actually don't want monogamy right now, I'm figuring out a few things. I said to him, you know what? I'm okay with that. You are the first man in my adult dating life that is being real about it. And my friends thought I was crazy. They're like, you're
Mm,
settling, what you're doing. And I'm like, I was in a committed relationship before him, and this person was cheating on me and lying about it. He's actually being real about this is not
where
something
he's
I
at and what he
want.
wants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when I said I was okay with it, we talked about what the boundaries were. I wanted to feel like I was the only person when we were in the same space or dating. So we created some rules around what it could look like. And when he was ready to choose me as the only one, he was very sure.
Yeah.
So that felt right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, how did you feel after then? So you tell us the why you wanted to get
Yes.
married. How did you feel after you got married? Was there a difference in how you felt?
So we had a long distance relationship for most of our relationship. So lots of phone calls, lots of when we visited each other, it was let's go out, let's get to know each other. But we spent a lot of time getting to know each other emotionally. So
Mhm.
I was very giddy on my wedding day because I was like, we're going to live together, we're going to see him all the time, now physically in the same place. I was just very excited for what was to come. We had a month
Yeah.
long honeymoon. And when I say honeymoon, I mean beach and traveling, eating good food. I was like, yes, this is the lifetime movie. This is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
And after the honeymoon, he started working, I started working, and there
Real
was
life though.
yeah, a big shift where we each had expectations of each other that we never saw before we only lived together after we got married. What should he expect from me, or what do I expect from him that we never had conversation about before? And it
Mm.
became very hard, very shocking. I won't speak
Yeah.
for him, but I know it was hard. So it
Yeah.
was different than, I really want to get married. I love this person. I feel safe with him. Now I'm going to work. He's going to work. We're living together and things are really hard. And it was
Yeah.
just, that's like, why didn't I see this on the internet? Who talks about this? Where's the manual for me to know that this is either normal or I
Hmm.
need to call it quits. We had many of those
Yeah.
thoughts in the first year of marriage.
So the first year, okay. That was like the transitionary year. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
all right. So you've kind of touched on a little of what I'd wanted to talk about next, but before we get to that, how do you
Mm.
feel, or how do you think that you would feel if you were married 6 years from now? I'm hear me 6 years, 6 months. I just want to know,
I,
yeah, the place of
mm,
marriage, this institution in your life. Yeah.
right. This one feels a bit hard for me to answer because one of the agreements I had with him when we got married was you have to allow me moments where I fly away and I'm coming back.
Yeah.
And so I have more of a avoidant attachment. Like I'm solid on my own, and
Same.
his attachment. And so I need moments where I go off and I do something that I love to do, and I come back to you and I tell you about it, and I want to know what you did when we weren't together. And when I started doing that, it was a bit tough in the marriage. But then the way I came back, he was like, okay, this actually fuels us. So I have quarterly moments where I go off with girlfriends or I go by myself. So to think about not being with him at all, it's tough to conceptualize because I feel free to be myself in this union.
Okay. Right.
Which, yeah, it really feels that way. I don't feel trapped. And I really think about if I was on my own, I think I would feel lonely. And I have, as I've gotten to know myself more, and when the lonely comes up, even within the marriage, I was like, okay, instead of asking one person to satisfy all my needs, how can I satisfy this need? Why do I feel lonely? And I started dating my friends. It probably sounds weird. I'm
No.
I've
Yeah.
dated
And
I've
this
dated my
yourself. Yeah.
I've dated my friends. I've dated myself. I will message a girlfriend like, you want to go to a show. And the thing about dating women is they're checking in. We're still on. Oh, I bought you this thing. I'm bringing chairs. You don't have to bring chairs to the show. And then I'm like, oh, she would like this. Let me bring this. And you still get that euphoria, even though it's a
Hmm.
platonic relationship.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I said I wish 28-year-old me knew herself more, because I think a part of our marriage I depended on him for everything, for my happiness, for the loneliness, for the things I thought I was missing, and it's so unrealistic to ask
Right.
one human
Yeah.
being
One
to
person.
satisfy all your needs.
Yes.
So
Understand that
I
completely.
could be alone, but I would really, really, really miss what we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, well, you kind of touched on this. I wanted to know what are some of the things that people don't tell you about marriage, like your biggest lessons. You touched on that
Mm,
transitionary year, how tough it was,
yeah.
especially when you have lived together and now you're living together and you have to learn this person in a
Yeah.
different way. But did anything else jump out to you and surprise you about marriage?
I didn't know that what was modeled to me in my household was what I would do. Like
Ah,
my mom didn't tell me you must you must bring him coffee in the morning, but I saw her bring my dad coffee every morning, and I was like, "Oh, this is a
hmm,
sweet gesture." So I bring him coffee every morning, and I saw my mom get up and make breakfast every morning, and she also owned her own business. So she did all these things in the home, and she also has her own business. So I was like, okay. And she looks happy, so I must be able to do
to
all
do it
these
all.
things. Yeah. And so I went in and I was like, okay, must go to buy the groceries. I must clean, house must clean, and must bring him the coffee, make sure everything's set. And
Mhm.
I went to work, and I came home and I was so tired, girl. Girl,
It's a lot.
I was so
Yeah.
tired. And as I zoom out right now, I realize my mom had two helpers that were
Right.
tending the home. I forgot she had help.
Yeah.
And so I took on some of the things that I thought was a woman's work. And it caused lots of arguments because I was so tired, but was I was blaming him, but I was doing it. He didn't ask me to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You got resentful. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think people don't tell you in a marriage that it doesn't have to be what society thinks it's supposed to be. Because right
Right.
now,
Or what you saw. Yeah.
yeah, because right now, if he doesn't cook, girl, I probably haven't eaten.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna look in the camera right now and say, "Baby, thank you for feeding me." Um,
Oh, thank you
and yeah,
from me.
and
I'm
my
feeding her.
we have two kids, a boy and a girl, and my daughter thinks that in a union, the man does all the cooking because this is what she's growing up to
And
see.
seeing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so as we had the struggles and sat down, I was like, I'm tired. And he was like, okay, let's look at everything that you're doing, what I'm doing. How do we separate the tasks, and we outsource some of the help, and that relieves some of the struggles that we were having. The most recent, like in the last 5 years, I think the other thing people don't talk about is that men and women come into a marriage thinking they're preconceived ways a man and a woman should be. The woman should be feminine and soft and fluttering around the
Okay.
house and pretty. And I love that.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
good.
the man must reach the thing high up and fix the car and take the garbage out. And I love that. But coming in with those preconceived things causes a lot of tension because
Hmm.
if you equate laundry to the woman's work and the car maintenance to the man's work, after a while it starts to feel weighty if it's not done. Like
Yeah.
that's your thing and you haven't done it. And
Yeah.
I have been more masculine in my life. I've I lead. I know how to get things done. I don't ask people to support me. I write the plan and I execute the plan and I do it from point A to point B. So, as a woman in a female body who is more has more masculine tendencies, joining
Yeah.
with a man who wants a soft, feminine woman, I think I had to learn how to communicate to him why I wasn't soft,
Hmm.
uh, for him to hear it. Because I think a lot of the times women who present more masculine are not really speaking to men in a way for them to receive it. Yo, you're not at the thing. So, and then it come off,
You're
I come
preaching.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. And so appreciating his need for respect and acknowledgement and saying, I actually want to be soft to you, but I need signs that you got it.
Yeah.
I've never had someone in my life who had it, so I hold it all. And if I'm
Yeah.
holding it all, it makes me hard. So I can't be soft for
Right.
you. So
Yeah.
if you are willing to tell me you have the hard things and then show me and be consistent, baby, I'll be soft. I will
Exactly.
I will be
Exactly.
I will be soft. The other day he asked me a question and I said, I'm just a girl. You could if you decide, honey,
Yeah.
I've come a long way because I at some point in my life I would be like, I'm not a damsel in distress. I can do it. You don't need to reach it
Hmm.
for me. But knowing I can reach it and allowing him is power.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we don't realize that just because we can means we need to. Like when I say to him, can you reach that for me? He knows I can reach it. And he also knows I'm allowing him to show up for me. And then that allows
Yeah.
me to be softer and for him to show up in a way where I'm like, mm-hmm. Mm.
Right. This is interesting because I'm at this stage in my life now too, where doing it all hard. The last person I was dealing with keeps on using kept on using the term, "Oh, you're just so strong with me all the time. You're so strong with me."
Oh,
And I'm like, well, yeah, such and such and such. But I also need the consistency to show me that you can lead, show me that you will show up and be consistent for me to be soft.
right.
And that's just something, yeah, that they need to
Yeah.
understand for sure. Yeah,
Women don't just submit. Women submit when they know if they fall, there's something there.
it's
So
safe. Yeah.
if you're not showing me, I'm gonna keep and and sometimes when I look back, he was showing me and I wasn't listening
Mm,
because I had never really let my guard down before. So I had to be vulnerable and be like, okay, he may not got it, but you gotta trust that he got it.
you have to trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be willing to be hurt in order to see what happens. So lots of
Right. For it to be
vulnerability.
disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, All right, so the next thing I wanted to touch on as well, well, you did kind of say in the first part that you don't really see yourself being without him, which is amazing. But I had wanted to know if you guys had discussed your deal breakers at all, when
Mm,
you were getting into marriage or when you just got in. Like,
mm,
what would make this ever not be?
mm-hmm. Yes, I
Yeah.
think we did discuss deal breakers. Cheating is one. He was very clear about what his deal breakers were. I,
Mm,
when I think back, I don't think I had many deal breakers because I didn't know, again, I didn't know who I was. I think the person I was at 28 was everything my parents said I needed to be successful.
yeah.
And right now I can tell you what my deal breakers are. I when you say what you're gonna do, like do it. If you consistently disappoint me, like I cannot
Trust
continue
you.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So trust, safety. If my safety is compromised, that yeah, no. And so
Okay.
I do have deal breakers now, and I think that people think that you cannot get into a marriage without ticking all the boxes. It's very hard to separate, it's very hard to divorce, and all those things are possible. But during this growth season in a marriage and individually, you can renegotiate your needs. And if the person is not willing, then you have a bigger conversation to have. Like,
Yeah.
I am not the same person I was at 28. He is not the same person he was at 31 when we got married.
Yeah.
So as the years pass, I'm like, you seem new.
Yeah.
Can you tell me who this is? What he
Yeah.
needs?
Reintroduced. Yeah.
Do I have the capacity to satisfy that? And hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm learning about myself. When you say that word, it actually triggers something in me from childhood I didn't even know bothered me all this time. And I don't like that. So I'm
Hmm.
learning about myself by being in relationship with him. He's learning about
Yeah.
himself by being in relationship with me. And I'm not going to do the work for him, and he's not going to do the work for me. So,
Yeah.
yeah, lots of honesty and truth telling, and then reconciling and going again.
Constant.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. That's a exercise my therapist actually had me do.
Mm,
And a part of it, I had to kind of write down what my deal breakers were and what my deal makers were, what I needed, like three things I needed from the relationship,
mm-hmm.
whatever, and three deal breakers as well. So I always think that's an interesting thing to do. Like my deal breakers are like any disrespect, dishonesty, um, and no effort if you're
Yeah.
not willing to put in the work. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Those are solid.
So yeah, so talking about work, I don't know what you can share of the work that you both have done
Mm.
to keep your relationship healthy over the past however long. We'll say
Yes.
12 years of marriage.
Or more than 12 years. Yeah.
Yeah, more than 12 years. What's the work you've done individually or as a unit? Well, you kind of touched on some that you've done as a
Yeah.
unit, but your personal work, yeah.
Ooh.
Or if you know of his personal work.
Ah, I remember the first day I called my dad and I said, I'm coming home.
Mm. You thought
And
that
my,
was your done.
yeah, my father said, nothing in marriage is solved by being apart.
Yeah,
He wasn't telling me I couldn't come, but he was like, nothing in marriage is solved by being apart. And I was having a tantrum in that moment. I called daddy and I said, Daddy, coming home. And he said, nothing in marriage is solved by being apart. And I find that when it gets hard, I want to run away. And I think it's been hard for my husband to hear me say, yeah, I don't know if it's working. I don't know, if we know each other the way we thought we did. And I want to kind of give him some gratitude right now because where we are currently, we wouldn't have gotten here without him saying,
He's done a lot. He's carried a lot of the work.
he has said, my shoulder is against the wheel and we're going to ride this thing until it falls off.
Yeah,
So tell me what the problem is and let's figure it out. And a
yeah,
part of me wanting to run away, it wasn't really running from him. I was running away from the mirror he was holding up to me that was showing me
the
stuff about
work. Yeah,
myself that I was
yeah,
like, not ready to look at that. And once I was ready, I found a therapist. In my first session, I said, okay, I need you to fix my marriage. And here are all the things that's not working. And and
go.
let's go.
Yeah,
And she said to me, why don't we talk about you? Okay.
yeah,
And that's when my work started. And when I started to really look at what kept me so tightly wound, not open to him, so resistant to whenever he wanted to do something his way. What and so I stopped focusing on what he wasn't doing or how he was doing to what is my part that I'm playing in the challenges that we're having in our marriage. And it really was just things that weren't healed within me, things that I didn't even know were bothering me, things that I was just very focused on putting a mask to the world. Well, like a bit more makeup than this. And letting the world think she's okay. She got it. She looks good. The career good. Everything is together. And the moment I started to show more vulnerability in my workplace and say I'm not doing well today, show more vulnerability in my friendships and say you said something that hurt me and I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to lose you. At the moment I started to say to my husband, I shouldn't have spoken to you that way, and I'm learning to be better to me so I can be better to you, was when things in the marriage started to improve. Was really when I
yeah,
started to look at my own stuff and love me more than I was trying to love the unit and
yeah,
learning what do I need? Okay, I want to be dated. I want lots of body butter and to be heavily moisturized. I want time by myself. Okay, I want some freedom in the way that I work. And when I started to move a certain way, actually the things that were bothering me about our union, he shifted because I was now approaching him in a different way because of who I was. So if you're approaching someone and thinking, oh, he's never this or he's never that, you're going to approach him that way. But because I was
hmm
working on me, the things he was doing, they weren't affecting me. So I was just like, oh, I can see why you made a decision, it never worked out. I understand. What do you need? What kind of support you need from me? And he was kind of like, oh,
That's
okay.
new.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
then so the dynamic started to change. Yeah,
I
I
love
think that's
that.
the biggest shift.
Yeah, it always kind of boils back down to you, right? And the relationship you have with yourself. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you can go out and yeah.
I was waiting for, I can't tell if it was him, but I was waiting for somebody to save me. And nobody's coming, girl.
Nobody's coming. Nobody's coming. That's the hardest
Nobody's
lesson I've had to
coming.
learn.
And
Yeah.
for a long time, that made me really, really sad
Yeah.
because I was thinking, but when my friends have this issue or when this person have this issue, I come. But they didn't ask me. They didn't ask me for that. They didn't
Yeah.
ask me for that. And when
Yeah.
somebody is able to save themselves, they already know, okay, I have the capacity to be so good to me that if somebody is not good to me, I'm going to be okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. That's a huge lesson I've learned as well. Yeah. That's a good,
Yeah.
good place to wrap it. Um, I think that was solid. Thank you so much for this conversation. It was eye-opening and vulnerable and honest. And yeah. Any last words? Where can people find you? Tell them what you're doing right now. I know are you still in school?
I'm
You're
still
not
in
finished yet?
school. I'm not
Yeah.
finished yet. I am a project manager by day. You know, I heard that if I climbed the corporate ladder, I would do great things, and those great things cause burnout and hospitalization. And that
Oh my
allowed
God.
me, I know that's a different segment.
I know. Jeez. Yeah.
And like rock bottom helped me look at myself and how hard I was working to find my worth when it's inherent. So now I am going to school to become a therapist because I finally figured out what I want to do. I made my
Okay.
parents proud. I'm making me proud.
Yes.
And
So,
I, I couldn't do it without the support. I couldn't do it without the
yeah.
support of my man. Right now,
Yeah.
he's holding it down with the kids. I get to study. I get to really actualize this dream. I'm on Instagram as Healing and Head Wraps. The head wrap used to be an armor where I could hide on the difficult days. And the fact that I'm not wearing one right now, and
Love
I'm
it.
wearing weight, you know, it's I don't need to hide. So now it's just the crown, and it helped me to keep my chin up, but that's happening naturally now. And so I'm
Yeah.
empowering women to find the light that's already there that they forgot about. So that's where I'm at.
That's why I love you. See, we don't talk for almost 20 years, but my
Yes.
soul supports everything that you do
Oh,
always, and I
thank
just
you.
love you.
I love you
Yeah.
too. You're doing great work, and I'm watching everything that you're doing. I'm like, whew, yep, this is
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching and see you next week. That's going to be a really good episode too, and it's going to include some clips from my birthday, so you don't want to miss it. See you next week, guys. Bye.